we used to have non-vegetarian food every day. And even today, when I go back home, I have to face this question of, ghas poos khane wale ho gaye ho type, because that culture is there. Everybody there is a very huge non-vegetarian. So this change was very huge, not just in terms of the food changes, but also shift in culture and thinking, and how to approach something, not just the food part, but also in terms of relationships. And that has actually been the whole journey. So back in 2012, I had an infection in my uterus, and because of that my TSH spiked. So and the doctor then told me that, because at that time it was somewhere around 5 or 10 or something, the range has to be less than 5. So he told me, I didn't want to get on medication. So I told him that, I want to try with some changes in food and exercise and all that. I did that for a month and a half, and then got my TSH tested, and it was now at 20. So the doctor told me that, this is not good, this is not helping, so you have to get on medication. I still wanted to try more, and I told him I'd like to try a little more, but then it reached 50. So at that point, he said, no, you have to get on to the medication, and my medication started. When I started on the medication, and the another thing about my family is they are all doctors. So when I started on the medication, they said, yeah, everybody told me that it's because of the uterus infection and it spiked because of that, and it will settle and all of that. But to be on that daily medication, actually, I think for some time I was also a little depressed, because that was a big change for me. I didn't, and I've always been the type who wants to understand why something happens. So I used to keep asking my mother also, no, but why? Why does it happen? Why did it happen? We don't have a history. And nobody in my family also has ever had a thyroid issue or anything of that sort. But strangely, this thing was stuck with me. That was a time when Sai had also started taking yoga classes, and then I joined her yoga class. And my TSH kept fluctuating up and down. I had not made any changes in my diet, but I had become very regular with the exercising, because with the yoga and all that. And while I had joined the yoga to bring about changes in my body, it actually ended up making a lot of changes in my mind. I was a very short-tempered, hot-tempered kind of person, very blunt. I am still, but the way I started thinking, the yoga practices, the brought a lot of changes in me mentally. I realized that I was stressed. I was already a freelancer at that point of time. I was working on my own. And I didn't realize that I was so stressed. I was under the impression that, I enjoy my work and I'm working from morning till night and all. I didn't realize. But when I started doing yoga, I realized that I was actually stressed, and how that stress may have also contributed to my condition. During that time, I started having pain in my knee. I used to, in fact, have a little pain in my knee from my teens, I remember. I was not the athletic type. I couldn't run much. If I used to run, I used to lose breath and all that. I was not, and I was you can say, a sickly kind of child. I used to fall sick fairly often, cough, cold, sinusitis, headache, red eyes. This used to be pretty common. I was in North, where you have extreme winters and extreme summers. And in both cases, I used to have some problem or the other. But this was all, taken as like that is just how it is. So you just take medicines. And coming from a medical family, I know how many medicines I have taken for every issue. So the cause of the problem was never addressed. We didn't even talk about it, in fact. We never really thought that, okay, this is something we need to really think about, that why is this happening? That is there some core weakness that should be addressed? It was just that, okay, she has that kind of, a body. She's a little weak like that. Because my sisters, I have two sisters, and one of them is physically very strong. Like, if everybody has had chickenpox, she'll be the one who doesn't have. So it was always like she has a very good, strong kind of, she has that immunity and everything, and okay, you guys don't have it that much, so it's all right, take medicine. There was no question of there's any harm to the medicine, never. And because I've grown up like that from in that house, I also never questioned it, and I continued taking all that. I started developing pain during my periods and all that. For everything we had a medicine to solve the issue, right? So I had this knee pain, and in my 30s, this was somewhere around 30, I was 33, 34, something like that. And I got a severe pain in my knee, to the point that even walking had started becoming difficult. And when I used to sleep, my pain, the knee used to start throbbing in pain. So this was around 2014, when Sai had already made some transition to the whole food, plant-based kind of diet. And she just suggested to me that, for a week, you just leave all the dairy and the non-veg and you try. So now that you know my background, I think you will understand that that was a big change for me. I was a regular tea drinker, 4 cups of tea in a day, that kind of thing. So for me to drop tea, suddenly drop non-veg, no eggs, no milk, no nothing, it was a big thing. But I was really suffering at that point of time. And I had a resistance to taking more medication. I wanted to really understand the root cause of the problem. So I took her suggestion, and for 7 days, I was on a completely plant-based diet. And at the end of that, I couldn't believe my knee was not throbbing anymore. It was not paining. In fact, I was even able to run a little bit, which was something that, had almost become unimaginable for me. The kind of like, how old people have a fear of coming down the stairs if they have an arthritic knee. They say coming down the stairs is more painful. That is how I had become. I used to look at stairs and I said, oh my God, I have to climb down the stairs. And I was so scared, because to have that kind of thought in your head at the age of 33, 34 is very scary. My mom has arthritis. My grandmother had arthritis. She had multiple fractures because of arthritis. So I was so scared. So when Sai gave the suggestion to me and I tried this out, and it made a difference in 7 days, I was completely astounded. I had never really thought that food can make that much of a difference. I mean, you hear this, that, can make a difference. And especially people who don't want to go on a plant-based diet, the first thing is like, you exercise more. You give all other suggestions except changes in food. So, if you exercise more, if you de-stress, do meditation, do this, do that, all those suggestions will come. But change in food is not suggested, because it is unimaginable, really. Why do you need to change your food? It's like a cultural thing. To be accepted in a society, to be accepted even in your own family, you must eat the same things, or you become somebody who's doing something so different, and then everybody kind of questions that. So, but when I understood this about that, the food that I am putting in my body itself is harming me, I started, exploring this more. I attended a lot of sessions with Sai, and gradually this understanding became stronger. The more I understood it, the more I could relate to why this was happening. And over a period of time, I became a vegan. I was able to reduce all the refined things and all of that in my diet. Now, there was not, in my family, there wasn't much interest in this direction. So I was kind of doing it on my own only.
I really want you to share, without family support, how did you navigate? Because
I don't know if I can tell people how to manage, because I also didn't manage it very well. So, see, I think one of the things was how desperately you want something. I was desperate for a solution which did not come from medicine. And I was the one who was suffering in the family. My husband was not suffering. My child was not suffering. Yeah, another thing which I had seen at that time was, when I started off, we used to have smoothies, right? And my son had developed an eye allergy from the age of 4. His eyes used to become red and they used to start watering. So now when I started these smoothies, this was fortunately the mango season. And my son is crazy about mangoes. So I started him on smoothies at that time. And you won't believe it. I had tried acupressure, which had helped. I had tried homeopathic, which had helped. But the problem used to keep coming back. But once he started on the smoothies, he did not have that allergy anymore. And I realized that, as mothers, we think that we are giving the best food, we are giving all the vitamins and minerals, because he used to have fruit, he used to have vegetables, but the way it is given, the form in which it is given, the time at which it is given, that makes so much difference to what the body can actually absorb. So you understand this only when you change something, you experience something, and then you kind of see that it makes such an impact. So that was another reinforcing thing for me, that I realized that it can make a difference. It was not just my experience anymore, it was also my son's experience. So then we started on the smoothie. The smoothie went down well with everybody in the family, because that's an easy thing. Everybody likes fruit. Starting with the smoothie was an easy thing to get everybody on. But other than that, the things that I changed were largely for myself. And see, when we get new knowledge and we think that, okay, this is a transformative thing, we want to share it with all the people we love and all the people we think will be benefited. And I started sharing this gyan with everybody, and everybody got very annoyed with me. I think some people also started avoiding me at this time. It's very, very possible
Yeah.
because I used to keep talking about this. And to be very honest, for it took me 4 to 5 years to completely leave non-vegetarian. I was not able to leave. I had reduced. I kept reducing everywhere. If you can see, I think maybe by 20%, 20%, I kept reducing till that inclination to have non-vegetarian actually went away. And now if somebody else is also having it, and I went back home in December and everybody was having non stuff which I used to love, but I didn't even feel attracted to it. So for me, that happened over a period of time. Some people can just do it, with a very strong willpower. I think I don't have that kind of thing. But over a period of time, I have reached that stage where it doesn't attract me anymore. So I don't have tea anymore. All these things happen, and it's very difficult now to even remember how I left tea. I think at that time, Suku coffee was one of my biggest supports. I think because I replaced it with the lemongrass tea. Initially, around 2014-15, we had attended a lot of sessions on whole food, plant based, and then we had talked about alternatives for tea, coffee, and all that. So all the things, herbal teas and all that, which were there, because you wanted to have that hot drink because you're used to having it 3 times a day, 4 times a day. So it wasn't very difficult from what I remember. That is what I remember. I don't know. Maybe the reality may have been different, but in my memory, it wasn't that difficult because I don't know, gradually the taste left me. Now, sometimes when I do pick up, when my husband is having tea, I'll pick it up just to remind myself why I liked it. And then when I have one sip and I say, I don't know why I liked it. I used to have it 3 times a day and I really don't understand from the taste. Why did I like it so much? So I think what they say, that you have to cultivate the habits first and then the change comes, rather than otherwise where we say that, oh, we must change first and then our habits will change. It's really true. When you just make some changes and you kind of blindly just do it, like a leap of faith, that, okay, I'm going to try it for a month. You just do it. Then the change happens and then that experience will kind of keep motivating you further. So for me, the motivator was that I was a person suffering. I could see even my husband, he didn't want to change. He still has ghee and all that. He has that big attachment to the kind of food he used to have when he was small. So but he has seen the change in me and he tells me, you don't have it, harms you. So even if he has something, he will not insist that I have it. So there is no emotional kind of pressure in my family in that way. And then I hired a cook. The cook used to make one thing, I used to make one thing. I used to tell her, you take this out for me. I simplified that. Had I been the person who was doing everything, it would have been difficult. So in many things, I used to just tell them that mere liye thoda nikal dena, keep it separately. They used to do it. It's not a big deal. And as I said, it was the desperation of my situation. I was really desperate to not have my situation become worse. And since I had seen the condition of my mother, my mother-in-law, my grandmother, I was very, very, worried that I do not want to land in that way. I am very fond of walking, and to be in a situation where I could not walk, uh, you know, uh, that was very scary for me. I mean, walking is such a simple thing which we take for granted, right? And if that is something which is taken away from you, you realize how old people get a little depressed sometimes, because they have wishes and their body is no longer supporting you. And you
Yeah.
can you can empathize with that at that time when your body is not supporting you. And this is happening at the age of 33, 34. So I used to just imagine that what will happen to me by the time I'm 60. I'll
So
probably be
now,
sitting.
yeah,
Yeah.
now cut to now where are you? Now how
So
is your health? How is your knee?
yeah, my knee is perfectly fine. I do cycling, I do jogging. That issue has completely gone. So I had got a test done, and it was found that it was the start of rheumatoid arthritis, and which anyway has no cure. So the only way to manage it is to make the changes in yourself. So that happened. And I do yoga, and I do a mix of exercises. I do meditation, I do pranayam, and all of that. And what has also happened is that there has been a lot of change in my approach towards life and stressful situations, and that has also helped. My thyroid problem is still there, but I also realized that I have not been 100% committed to a certain diet. I know it is beneficial, but still I tend to go off the course many times and I come back. So I do realize that that problem could also go, but you need to be consistent and consistently follow something for that change to happen in your body. So I don't blame the diet for it. I have no doubt on the nature cure principles, and the whole food plant based. Even if you don't think nature cure, but the whole food plant based approach also, I have 100% faith in it. So I know why. In my case, I'm not blaming the thing at all. I know that it is my own lack of consistency because of which this thing has not gone. But there are so many other things which have changed. I feel so much more energetic. As I told you, in my teenage I couldn't run, and now I'm running at the age of 45. So I feel much more energetic now compared to my younger days. So it's a huge change, and I have really benefited from it. And it is something that I would, ask anybody who's going through any problem, before you go for medication or something, try to incorporate these changes, because they help in so much more than just your health, your physical health. It helps in a completely holistic kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Monica, for sharing everything in detail. I mean,
Hey, can I ask one question? This is Uma.
yes, Uma.
Uh, I want to ask Monica that she's mentioned about the smoothie. So, what did you use in smoothies? Like coconut water or milk? Definitely no milk, I understand.
Yeah.
But what did you
So
use in smoothies?
So, Omar, we used to have these fruit smoothies only. So the base used to be banana with some green leafy vegetable and some small sized herbal kind of a vegetable like a tulsi or basil or something like that. And yeah, that used to basically be it. So maybe like in the mango season, it would be a banana as well as a mango or only mango, something like that, a pulpy fruit.
Okay. So, you didn't add coconut water or nothing in that.
No, no, no,
Thank you.
nothing. Yeah.
This is Lima. Yeah.
Yes, Lina.
More than a question, I just wanted to say, Monica, like, when she has gone through so many things, but when she say it with ease. I think this is what life, like when you're struggling, you feel that, but when you cross it, it's like, yeah, I did this and I'm out of it. And she's enjoying. I mean, like, I can see that she had gone through so much, but when she says, it's like, ishte. So that's really nice. I admire that, it's always easy to just leave back what the suffering and take the fruit of it, and what better we can do. That's really something very good of it. I like the way she explained that.
Thank you, Lima.
Hi, Monica. Ashwini here.
Hey.
Just wanted to know that did you say that you started this whole food plant-based or clean eating from 2014 or 15?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, I just have started last year, and I still, I also used to be a very non-veg lover, and now also I find it difficult, but still the craving has definitely come down. But once in a while I do end up eating, but when I eat, I really see that I don't enjoy myself that much as I used to. But sometimes, even if there's no craving, since you see the family members eating, it's just that you feel like, tasting or eating and all that. So the frequencies definitely come down. I think what you shared really gave me a kind of a confidence that yes, definitely it will come down.
Yeah, it will. It's surprising, like the taste you expose your tongue to, how quickly it becomes accustomed to it. Like now, if I have eaten something which I shouldn't be eating, like I have a weakness for samosas. Now I've found a good way to make it without oil, but before that I used to sometimes indulge. But after eating it, see, eating it then you enjoy 2-3 bites, but after that, with the oil and all that, and you're not used to it anymore, I used to feel so sickly. Then I used to just crave the taste of a simple salad with no salt, no lemon, just the freshness of the salad. So, I can't believe that my tongue is craving for something like that, but it has just happened. It's just by introducing things, and my tongue, it's like your body itself selects that, okay, this is better for me.
Yeah,
So
I
it signals that kind of.
Yeah, I keep thinking that will I really get into a mode where I will follow everything strictly after some time? But I'm hearing from you that you still don't follow, not able to follow or something, everything 100%. So just wanted to know more about it.
Yeah. So I think one is, I stopped beating myself about it. Like whenever I strayed, if I start, like, oh my God, why did I do this? What did I do this? I stopped doing that. I was like, okay, I did it. So I used to, and then I started observing my body closely. Like, for example, I remember once I was very fond of fish. I went home and my mom had made this fish, and I told her I don't have it anymore. And she just looked so heartbroken that I ate one piece. And after that, I was feeling so sleepy, so heavy. And so I skipped dinner. I said, I just can't. So it's just about, compensating in another way. So I skipped dinner. The next morning also I had a late breakfast. I used to anyway have fruit only. So I had it late, so, till the time I was feeling better. So these slips and all happen sometimes because you want to have it, sometimes because you do it for some other reason. Emotional blackmail is very, very, it happens. So, but I think it's all right as long as you have something in your mind that, okay, I have to go in a certain direction, and you observe how you feel after eating different types of food. You will yourself only realize that there are some foods which just make you feel slower and sleepier. So why do you want to eat that? No, over time, I think it will happen. I think that thing of, trying to get very quick results, because we are so used to that, na? Like for everything we want that to happen very quickly, it puts a lot of undue pressure on ourselves also.
Yeah, I can completely relate to it. And the way I feel so heavy we used to eat that some months back, and now if I try to eat a little bit more, I feel like it's so difficult for me to breathe itself. So I feel very uneasy in the body eating such stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I say, Monica, so nice to hear from you, Monica. Lovely things you said, and the way in which you conveyed it all was so simple and made us all feel it's doable. Very, very doable. Thank you so much. Okay, so I have one small confusion here. Sometimes I wonder, like even something like a dosa or a vada, like going to Krishna Sagar and having a vada sambar. Earlier, my body used to take it so well. Now, if I do go, I haven't gone for a long time, but even if I have had a vada, even one single vada, I feel so lethargic. So sometimes even family and others also, like sometimes I doubt myself. Earlier, I could handle this so easily. Now, why can I not? So is it that, have I become weaker, or what is it? It's like even one meal of that breakfast of a dosa, sambar, idli, vada, if you're out somewhere and you have that. So I don't know. That confusion sometimes happens to me. Like if I've gone to someone else's house and just eaten whatever, though I've had a salad with it, my portion control, it's there at the back of my mind. But I feel like I'm not able to handle that anymore, like I used to earlier.
I know, and that can make you such a...
So that sometimes makes me doubt my immunity, or I don't know what it makes me doubt, but I feel that Was is it supposed to be that way?
That is what I also, so when I used to have a cup of tea, if I have it once, like if you go on a vacation, right, and the South Indian coffee is so delightful, because the smell of coffee still, I find it so tantalizing. So I used to have a coffee, so it'll be fine. Then in the evening again, I'll have a coffee, and by night, I'll have acidity, which used to never happen before. So, see, the way I have understood it, and I think Sai can correct me in this, but the way I have understood is that my poor body was dead for such a long time that it could not trigger and tell me when something is not going its way. And now that it has regained that intelligence with a small dosage of something which is not suiting it, it is able to trigger and tell me that please don't have this.
Okay.
This is my understanding, and because this is how it has always been,
okay,
right?
yeah.
We've eaten so much junk that our senses have kind of, I think, become so dulled. I remember that when I used to have lunch, I remember when I was working in Oracle and all that, after lunch, I used to literally go to sleep on my desk. And it was like, this is normal to feel sleepy after lunch. It's not normal to feel sleepy after lunch, right? So it's not normal to always feel heavy after food. Your food is supposed to give you energy, not to take all your energy. So there are so many things which we just accept as a conventional way of life. So now when I feel fine, get acidity, I am grateful for it. I am grateful that my body is telling me, has the intelligence to tell me that what you ate is not right for you. So I skip the next meal, or I just wait to feel better till I reach a point that I'm hungry again and all. I give my body that time. So I really think that if you are feeling that, you should be grateful for it, that your body is now becoming so smart.
Yeah, I think Monica, you have nailed it. I mean, that is how it is. We were sleeping, and now our bodies are so vigilant, and they are doing what they should be doing. Like, that is what is detox is. No, it's a symptom of detox. If you are unable to digest that one vada, that shows your body is trying to throw out. I mean, body is not happy with what you have had, and all the animals in the natural habitat have these instincts and senses very heightened, but in human beings we slowly with conditioning and continuously eating this junk food, we lose this ability to detox. And that's when, I mean, again, we should not get into that mode ki, oh, everybody can enjoy, but after some years something is going to happen. that happens also many times. If body cannot detox then and there, then it gets accumulated, and then it comes out maybe after a few weeks or months or years, or maybe not. We don't know. We can't speculate it that way. But as Monica has rightly said, if you are not comfortable with the wrong type of food, that means your body is working perfectly fine. And that means, body is on correct track. And many people who cannot get that, they can eat all 3 meals, deep fried food and sugary food and milky, I mean, animal products food. But if their body is not reacting, that means the body is not working. Some of the functionality, like as Monica said, it is dead. The senses are not working. So that way we should take it, because that is the reality. That is the fact.
Yeah.
Yes, Ashwini.
Yeah, sorry. I got distracted here, but as Monica was mentioning about going to office and feeling sleepy. So all this what I tried was in the lockdown. So I always keep thinking how life will be with this clean eating when I get back to office. So if anybody has done that before, and are there any tips that that helps us while going back to office and still continue with all this, would be helpful.
I think it's easier to do it when you go to office. If you take your meal with you, then because you're also busy, I find it more difficult to do it at home, because it's like any break you take, you're wandering around the kitchen only. So I think that if you're occupied and you're in an environment out of home, as long as you take your own food, and you'll have to carry your own food, all that will be there. Once in a while, of course, it's fine. But if you carry your own food, I think it is manageable. I think it is manageable. That is my take on it. I don't know. Probably other people can also give their.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just wanted to ask Ashwini, what are the challenges you can see now when you go back to office? What will change, and what there which is not in your control?
Yeah, it's basically the time to make everything and take it. And also sometimes I feel that when you're busy, you get involved in it. But sometimes it also happens that if you've not eaten well or you have that satiety, you also get distracted while at work, that you're not able to work. So it's some kind of I'm not sure if I'll really have a challenge, but I'm just thinking about it. And
I think it's also about what you prioritize. Like I remember for me, when in office, when I was working, I would stuff my food literally, like while I'm doing my work, because I will prioritize my work over my food. Whereas if you really see, if I would stop for 10 minutes and just eat my food consciously, I can do that also. But somehow in our mind, it's like, somehow if I multitask and I eat my food and then I'm not conscious of what I'm eating at all. So I think if you are just conscious of that, this is what the whole mindful eating and all that, all the practices are, right? That you carry that thought in your mind all the time, that, like don't take that eating part too much for granted. It is in itself an experience. Like you look at your food, you appreciate what is on your plate, and you really eat, bite by bite, chewing slowly, really experiencing that food. That kind of keeps you satiated, but you have to then prioritize it. If you don't prioritize it, only prioritize your work, then you may not be able to do it. So I think it is about a shift in priorities a bit. Whatever you can manage within within your routine, but it would require a shift in priorities.